Hi, thanks so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, we are going to be talking about a question that my student asked me about. He's just getting started playing guitar, and he asked me what were the most essential chords to learn when you're first starting out playing guitar. Well, there's all kinds of chords you can learn. There's basically 5 of them. If you learn these 5 essential chords, there's more of them than that, but these ones are enough to get you started. They're very common in a lot of songs. So if you're in an area where you're trying to get started playing guitar, you're learning chords, stick around and I'll show you these 5 essential chords that'll really help you out with getting started playing guitar. And when it comes to playing guitar, it doesn't matter if you're playing the acoustic or the electric. I'm doing this lesson on my acoustic guitar. But what you want to do is there's 5 chords that you really want to learn. These are your essential chords, okay? Your G, your C, A minor, D, and your E minor. Okay? Or you could do the E major. You could even do the A major. Doesn't really matter. But I would recommend just starting off with those 5. Your G, your C, your D, your E minor, and your A minor, okay? And these are the reason why these are your most essential chords to learn is because they're the most common found in tons of songs, okay? There's an old saying that if you learn a few chords, you can play millions of songs, and it's true, okay? Because these are really common. They're the ones that are most harmonious, and that's why they're the most common found in a lot of songs, especially if you're just strumming guitar. There's, tons of them that have tons of songs that have these chords in them. G, your C, your D, your E minor, and your A minor. And you want to have a couple minors in there because they throw a little bit of a different element in there into the song because of the fact that they're minor chords and they have a little bit of a different tone to them than a major chord. Like for instance, this is A major, has kind of a happy sound. You throw in an A minor, has kind of a sad sound. Your minor chords have a sad sound, your major chords have a happy sound. Here's your E minor, kind of sad. Your E major, kind of happy. So by throwing in these 2 minor chords, it kind of gives you a little bit of, different emotion you can throw in there with the song, and that's why it's very common for those. You'll see a lot of those in songs, okay? So the 5 chords, like I said, your G, your C, your D, E minor, A minor. Now you can really bring it down to even more than that. It's just 3 essential chords that are probably the most common found in songs are your G, your C, and your D. If you were to learn just those 3 chords right there, those would help you play a lot of songs. I have a book that has like 50 songs in it, and they'd have just only those 3 chords, G, C, and D. Some of them start with the C and go to a G and go to a D, or some start with a D, go to a C and then go to a G. Some of them start with the G, go to C and then D. It doesn't really matter in different combinations, but those are probably your 3 main chords to learn to start off with is your D, your C, and your G, okay? And then your E minor and your A minor, okay? If you learn those 3, you could probably play all kinds of songs. Tons of songs have those chords in them, okay? Now, how do we learn these? I would say the best way to learn them is to start off with your E minor, because your E minor is just 2 strings, 2 fingers on 2 strings, 5th and 4th on the 2nd fret, okay? And you gotta kind of curl your fingers a little bit too, okay? All right, see how I'm doing that? I would start with that chord first because it's the easiest to form, okay? And if you play it with these 2 middle fingers, if you get used to playing it with that, then you can just put your first finger down here, and there's your E major. You put your first finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret, that's E major, okay? But just start with E minor, and then if you take those 2 fingers and you just bring them down a string, keep them on the same fret, 2nd fret, bring them down a string. Now you're on the 2 middle strings, the D and the G string, and then you put the first finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. Now you got A minor. So see how easy it would be to go from E minor to A minor. Those are the first 2 that I would recommend you start with, okay? And then once you get those down, now to play your C chord, all you have to do is take this finger, bring it up to here. Now you got your C chord. And then you can bring it back down here and you got your A minor chord, and you can just kind of work on that pivot of that finger. This ain't the easiest thing to do in the beginning, but if you work on it, you'll get it, okay? So A minor to C. You always remember C because it's kind of got a slant to it. It's like a slanted chord. And then, sorry about that. There we go, right there. And if you could take these two fingers right here, your ring finger and your middle finger, and move them up a string, and take this one off, and then take your pinky and bring it down here, which is not always the easiest thing, but if you work on it, you'll get it. There's your G chord, okay? Now you can also play G with these three fingers here, and I would recommend learning both. But like I said before, three chords are real popular in song, G, C, and D. In a lot of songs you can go from G to C. Now if you play G with these three fingers, and then you go to C, you got to move your hand like this. See how my hand is moving like this? There's a little bit more movement there, okay? Now if you could learn to play your C, your G with these three fingers, then you don't really have so much movement. See that? You just got to get the pinky trained a little bit for this one. This is the thing that's a little difficult about this way of doing it. But if you're playing a G, and you go to C, see how easy it is to go to C? And back to G again. So it's just really a pivoting of these two fingers right here. This one for the C, this one for the G. This one for the C, this one for the G. So if you go G, C, A minor, E minor. So A minor. And then the other one that's the most popular, of course, is your D chord. This one right here. Take your first finger, put it on third string, second finger on the first string, second fret, and then your third finger on the second string, third fret. That's your D chord. And I would highly recommend get your pinky involved, okay? I know it's not the easiest thing to get involved. It's kind of a little bit of a rebel of a finger, but if you get it involved, then you can do stuff like, okay, this adds a 4, a sus4, this is a D sus4 here, and you can tell like in that song by Queen. Okay, and it's because of pivoting that pinky in there, alright? So just work on that, okay? So once again, these are your 5 essential chords: G, C, D, E minor, A minor. And I would recommend after you learn those, throw in your F chord too, this one here. And the F chord is a good chord because it's right underneath the C chord. So you've got your C chord, and to play the F, you just take these two fingers, bring them down. Now you're on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and kind of bar that if you can. There's your F chord. C, G. See how you were able to go to 3 chords like that? F, C, and G. Just by moving a couple fingers, staying on the same frets, okay? So that's what I would recommend doing, is learning those. Those are going to be your most common chords that you're going to find in songs, okay? Like for instance, here's an example of what I'm talking about, okay? In the song Stand By Me by Benny King, it's 4 chords: G, E minor, C, and D. Okay? And it just goes like G for 2. It goes to E minor for 2, 1, 2, C for 1, 1, D for 1, 1, and then back to G for 2, 1, 2. Let's see, the Eagles, when their song's Lion Eyes, it's just G, C, A minor, and D is the main part. It's got some other parts to it, but the main verse of it is, you know, city girl just seems to find out early how to open doors with just a smile. A rich old man, she won't have to worry. Dress up all in lace and go in style. Okay, there's more to it than that, but you understand what I'm saying. Just basically those chords: G, C, A minor, and then it went to D, then it went from G to C to A minor, back to C, and then back to G again, okay? Now, like I said, you could play G with these two fingers, these 3 fingers here, or you could play with these 3. It doesn't really matter. I would recommend working on both. And if you work on those and you work on some basic strumming, I guarantee you're going to be able to get it and get it pretty easy. Alright, so there we have it, the 5 essential chords that I would recommend you learn. Okay, and maybe add that F chord in there as well as maybe number 6, because those are real popular. And this F is really easy to go to from the C. It's just right below the C, as I showed you in the video lesson. So I'd recommend working on that as well. And if you work on these every day and you just practice them, you know, practice your chords, practice your strumming. You know, it doesn't come overnight, but it definitely, you can get it. You just have to work at it, okay? And I would highly recommend, like I said, start off with that E minor chord, because that's the easiest to form, and then your A minor, then your C, and your G. And look at different ways to form the G chord. The G chord is probably the hardest one because you have to span your fingers across all 6 strings, okay? So that's the one that's probably the hardest. So you can either try doing that one first because it's the hardest, and then everything else after that will come easy, or you can work on those other ones and tackle that one later. It's kind of up to you. Everybody's a little bit different, but the main thing is you're developing the muscles in your fingers, okay? So whatever is easiest for you, I would recommend you try it like that, okay? Now, if you are trying to figure out how to get better at your rhythm playing, I'd recommend you check out my book here. If you're just getting started, you're learning these simple, these essential chords. I have a book here I wrote. It's called Learn Guitar for Beginners, and it goes it goes through all these chords that we just talked about, these 5 plus all the other ones too. I recommend, you know, how to like tune your guitar. I have full color pictures in here. The text is really big. It's in lesson to lesson format, and it shows you how to work on your strumming, how to read the sheet music, very basic, simple concepts of how to read the sheet music, how to play the chords individually, because that's important as well, okay? Not just strumming the chords, but if you learn to play the notes individually, that's going to give you some really good insight as well, make some really good sounds coming out of your guitar, okay? So if you're kind of interested in that, I would check that out. I've also got a free training guide that I'll leave you in the links below that'll really help you out with your getting started playing your chords and some of the insider things that you need to focus on for improving your guitar playing, okay? So be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for future notifications, and if you're understanding what I'm saying, you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. Check out my website at DwaynesGuitarLessons.com, where I got a lot of great video training lessons on there that'll really help you out with all kinds of stuff to help you improve your guitar playing, okay? So until our next lesson, keep practicing every day, work on these concepts, and I guarantee you'll get better at playing guitar. So until next time, take care.